All right, I'm back. Had a little technical difficulties there. Let me just make sure we're all good with everything. Testing. Test.
Mic check.
No, that's the wrong one. Yeah, see, I had to redo the whole thing. So let me just make sure we're good on
2, 1.
There we go. Test.
Redo the whole thing. So let me.
All right, this is the one. It's part of the game. Baby. All right, let's do it. Facebook, what's happening? Let me check LinkedIn real quick to make sure we're good there. Test.
The whole thing. So
That's good.
It's part of the game.
And YouTube, we're good. YouTube, what's happening? YouTube, test.
YouTube, what's happening?
We're all good. All right. Good morning. Great morning, folks. Happy Win-trapreneur Wednesday. We're back for another Win-trapreneur Wednesday. That's what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world. If you don't know what it means to be a Win-trapreneur, it is pretty much just taking the concept. Well, first of all, it's because you have been listening to me long enough. Every single Wednesday, we discuss what being a Win-trapreneur is all about. I've started doing Win-trapreneur tips. This was back in the summer, and eventually this year, making it and putting it down, making sure it's in my notes, it's in my goals, it's part of my checklist to make sure book number 6 is written, and it's going to be all about being a Win-trapreneur. So to give you a brief definition of it now, it's pretty much taking the mindset of an entrepreneur and aligning it, the entrepreneur that's been fortunate enough, entrepreneur-minded person that has been fortunate enough to find a job that pays them every 2 weeks, that is in alignment with their entrepreneurial vision. So the job that they have is in alignment with their entrepreneurial vision. That's normally called an intrapreneur, but because I have a sports background, because of the work I do and where I come from my work, where I get my ideas and where I get my stories, where I built this whole thing, I added a W to it to name it Win-trapreneur. Like you win a game, Win-trapreneur. All right. So before I get into all of that, today we're going to keep with the theme of the week. We're going to get into some politics. I'm going to officially be endorsing Byron Donalds. Yes, Byron Donalds for the next governor of Florida. Tell you how I heard about him, why I've become such a fan, why I'm excited to support this brother, support this guy doing what he's doing, man. And, for the first time in my life, I'm actually going to be, really paying attention to my local government, going out and actually voting for a governor and things like that. So I'm personally, it's kind of a really rewarding thing for me, especially someone that has grown up in the DMV, grew up in Maryland, and was, in football, but was around politics, a lot of politics, and never really understood it, never really appreciated it the way I'm appreciating it these days. So really excited to dive deeper into that. But before I do, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to my world. If it's your first time listening to me, my name is Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I created, what you see with these pencils here, the Plus LY brand, what we are all about. Oh, why is it not up? Actually, I'm thinking about it. Oh, yeah, there it is. The Plus LY brand. That's what we're all about over here in the Move Swiftly world, is taking the teamwork lessons, the innovative teamwork lessons that you see on the football field, or that you learn on the football field, that are taught on the football field, that are just naturally created on the football field. All right. I take those and I translate those into two business owners. I teach business owners how to build cohesive teams, Build a staff that has that same hunger, that same eagerness as a championship high school or youth football team. That's what we do around here in a nutshell. So first and foremost, let's get through some announcements. First and foremost, free boxing lessons, West Palm Beach. If you are interested in free boxing lessons, just hit that QR code that you see right there. We put those on every 2 weeks. If you're interested, again, just let me know and we'll get you where you need. We'll get you the information and the details that you need to have, where, when, all that good stuff. All right. And like I said, I'm here for you, business owners. I'm here to help you guys build organizations that move cohesively. You want to lessen your turnover. Trust me when I tell you. All right. You want to lessen your turnover. You want to limit the people that you are constantly having to switch positions and bring new people in. All of that stuff leads to nothing but confusion. All of that stuff leads to nothing but a bunch of miscommunication, things not being said, things being said, all of that stuff. Trust me when I tell you. All right, tomorrow I'll do a deeper dive into that concept, but you do not want to have an issue where you're constantly dealing with turnover and constantly dealing with people who are not communicating or just simply misunderstanding what a person's saying. You don't want to be continuously bringing in new personalities into your business. You want to have a very structured, rigid vetting process. All right. Go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Download it. I've created 10 steps in which you can use right now to implement right now, in which your business is going to make it. It's going to make it so your business is moving in a cohesive fashion. And finally, patreon.com. Tap into the Patreon link where we're building out a membership in which everybody is going to be there. All the business owners that are going to be there giving lessons, giving tips, giving an understanding of how to really the tactical things that you can be doing and the systematic things that you could be doing to make it so your business moves cohesively. Also, you will get a complimentary Move Swiftly workshop, depending on which program that you decide to join. So all that being said, let's get into today's topic, Win-trapreneurship with Mr. Byron Donalds. And I'm going to say it just like I said it this morning. The next governor of Florida, Byron Donalds. And I got to tell you, if you would have asked me a year ago who Byron Donalds is, I would have had no idea who it was. Absolutely no idea. But because of what I have lived through, what I'm currently living through, what I've had to deal with on a day-to-day basis. See, a lot of times people see us content creators and they think, all right, man, they got it sweet, or they just so motivational. They got such a great life. It's probably not as much nowadays, since there's, as we're moving forward, the internet's becoming more of an authentic place. But, when you're going to be in the content creation game, it's because you got stuff you want to say. You got a lot of baggage. You have a lot of stories you want to tell. You have a lot of things that are going on in your day-to-day that are incredibly frustrating, absolutely frustrating you. All right. And you have to get it out. You have to figure out a ways to be professional, be respectful. You have to do something in which you're able to get your story out there, in which you're able to get this oozing, this thing that's burning inside you. You have to get it out in a professional way, not in a way where you're disrespecting anybody, not in a way where you're causing conflict or chaos, but in a way that's being professional. That takes work. That takes dealing with some stuff that you genuinely do not like, that drives you up a wall, and still just pushing through it. That's what makes content authentic. That's what makes people, whether it's myself or whether it's anybody else that you listen to regularly on the internet, is we are actually living through it. We're living through the things we talk about, which is why the content is just never going to stop, right? So with that being said, I first heard about Byron Donalds as we were getting closer to the election season, about, was it 2024, the summer of 2024, right? And there's all this talk, it was clear. Actually, I think it might have been after the debates, like when we saw the Biden and Trump debate. I think, especially for me, again, someone that was, my lane is sports, right? My lane is sports, teamwork, business. My lane isn't politics. I'm always going to be watching politics and looking at it and seeing, just judging it based on my own intuition, but never someone that is like really detail oriented when it comes to politics. But when we all watched the debate between Trump and Biden, we looked at Biden and we were like, dog, I'm just going off I'm going off what I said. I'm looking at Biden. I'm like, that dude ain't something going on there that don't seem like the math ain't mathing, right? We could all agree. He said the math ain't mathing, right? And I happen to be in a work situation, though. The people that I work with regularly are, I guess you can call them Biden supporters. I don't even know if I want to call them Biden supporters as much as they are just simply Trump haters, like people that genuinely don't allow. Again, I live in West Palm Beach, so I'm not speaking for all of West Palm Beach. Obviously, when it comes to West Palm Beach, a lot of people out here in West Palm Beach are huge Trump supporters, but there are people out here who do not just completely hate the man, which is totally fine. No one's telling, I would never tell you to like someone that you don't want to like or whatever it is. At the end of the day, I'm just around some people that I happen to be working with, some people that really don't like Trump or whatever it is. So I was sent a clip. Somebody sent me a clip of a black guy. And I'm just telling you how I heard about Byron Donalds. So somebody sent me a clip of a black guy talking about how Jim Crow there was an era where Jim Crow, the black family was voted conservatively, and he brought up Jim Crow, right? It was a clip, and I saw the clip. I'll never forget this because I saw the clip, and nowhere in the clip did it say anything about him saying, or did he say this again, because Byron Donalds is brand new to me, and I'm going to play the clip in a second. But nowhere in this entire clip did he say anything was good about Jim Crow. He never said it at all. He never mentioned Jim Crow like in a positive way or anything like that. He just said he said Jim Crow. So there was nothing wrong with it. So I dived deeper into his work because the person who sent it to me, I know the mindset of that person. That person is always trying to get me to look at Trump in a negative way, or that person's always of the mindset of, that we as black folks are victims, and always trying to do that. So I became a Byron Donalds fan when I saw him appear on Joy Reid's show, and she was attempting to do the same thing. And when he stood up to that kind of pressure, now he didn't it was a big thing. It was matter of fact, let me pull it up right now because I want to see the date. Yeah, 8 months ago. So it was 8 months ago. That was around, let me make sure I got my facts straight here. So 8 months ago, we're in March now. Sure, that was, let me 2, 4, 6. Yeah, around July, right? Yeah, it was around that time, right? So around 8 months ago, where again you have on one end black folks who heard his comments. A lot of people heard his comments because it was at some rally or something, and when she was talking about Jim Crow. And I saw the clip, and I saw a man genuinely wanting to help people, not just black people, not just white folks, not just people. I saw a man genuinely trying to make a point that black fatherhood was important. And that I'm all for it. Black fatherhood is something I strive to be, something I aspire to be. Of all the things that go on through my day, of all the things that absolutely frustrate me throughout the day, it's me wanting to be a father, me thinking about fatherhood that makes it so I get to keep pushing forward, that I don't let the nonsense get to me. That is the message that he was trying to put out there. So when I went and I watched his clip and I watched the whole interview of what he was having to deal with, I mean, just the blowback in general that he was having to deal with, I became a fan when I watched the way he responded to this. So I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to go through several. Matter of fact, before I play this, let me just show you here real quick. So the article is out where I have it documented. Win-trapreneur Wednesday, Byron Donalds, why he embodies win-trapreneurship. I have it all laid out here on medium.com. The article just came out maybe a couple hours ago from me recording this. But what I want to do is I want to play you a couple of the clips that are the videos that I've seen with him and why I believe this is the brother that we need to be supporting, because his message is resonating with all people. And it just so happens that he happens to be black. You don't see him using blackness as a crutch. You don't see him out there using blackness as some sort of okay, I'm going to get out of my responsibilities as a father, or playing the victim in Olympics or anything like that. And whenever I see brothers, black men on, in these political positions and in positions of power doing this, I can't help but be incredibly, incredibly grateful for him. So let me show you what I mean when I say he stood up to people who tried to mix his words and mix what he was trying to say, mix the things that he wanted to say about Jim Crow, tried to turn it into something that it wasn't, and watch how he actually stands up for himself and makes it so, put this woman who I don't even call, she doesn't have a show anymore. Thank goodness her show got canceled, but puts this woman in her place. And then also what I want you to look for is the lack of empathy on her end. All right. The lack of empathy on her end when she realizes that she's wrong and that she tried to assassinate this man's character. She tried to put words in his mouth. And when she realizes that she's wrong, there's not an apology. There's not a, hey, my fault. I shouldn't be trying to defame your character. I shouldn't be trying to defame your words. There's none of that. There's none of that at all in this. So just watch and listen to this. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure everything is streaming good. All right, go.
1867 after the Civil War to
watch it.
Lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War. Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for Black families, or a time that was good for Black families?
Never said it was a golden era.
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting
I'm going to read what you said.
All I was talking about was the marriage rate.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said. Play what he said. Play what he said.
You're saying
Go ahead, play. Go ahead.
I'm going to play.
Play it. Let's see if we see golden era. Go.
I never said that.
Play what he said.
Play what I said.
Play what he said.
Play it. Yes.
During Jim Crow, the Black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more Black people were not just conservative. Black people always have been conservative minded, but more Black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back.
Whoa. When did he say that there was a golden era? When? So she's clearly wrong. Let me. She's clearly wrong, folks. She's clearly wrong. And there's not an apology. There's not a sense of empathy. There's not a sense of, okay, you didn't say anything about a golden era. Let's get to another conversation. Instead, what she tries to do, she tries to now create this gotcha moment and say, oh, okay, let me just go walk him through. And I'm not going to let that part play. I'll let it play a little bit, but once she gets into the story about, oh, well, this happened in Jim Crow and that happened in Jim Crow, and then she tries to pose a question, I'll fast forward to that part, then again, there's still no gotcha moment. There's still no point in this entire exchange between her, again, a Black woman, and another Black man who she just tried to assassinate. There's still no point in which this woman has the decency to simply apologize for what she attempted to do. I want you guys to pay attention to this, because this is what starts to happen in just day-to-day conversation, conversation with other folks who are trying to go behind your back and say this and say that, all to protect themselves, to make you look like you're doing something that you're not trying to do. This is important for you guys to understand. This is someone that's actually she's trying to assassinate this man's character, and it was wrong of her to do it.
During Jim Crow, the Black family was together. What was the authority of the Black father in the Black family during Jim Crow?
Well, listen, under Jim Crow, obviously, Black people were under great persecution, unfortunately, by Southern Democrats and the Democrat Party overall.
Exactly.
In the history of our country.
Let me answer the question.
And so, let me finish now.
Jeez.
And so having the Black man in the home was about first protecting the mom and protecting the kids. Incredibly important. It was the leadership in the home, which is incredibly valuable. And I think what we're witnessing, obviously, the last 30 years, definitely through my generation, is Black fathers being at home is incredibly important for the success of Black children going forward. And it's not just a Black thing, that's everybody. Fathers in home help to breed success for kids moving forward. That is a great thing for our country. That's something that has been proven throughout time.
Thank
What
you.
we're talking about is not the golden era of Jim Crow. That's ridiculous.
Right.
I would never say that. And that is the gaslighting that I'm standing
Thank
up to,
you.
because that's
Thank
what
you.
Hakeem
Let's see if there's an
Jeffries,
apology.
the Biden campaign, Jamie Harrison, and the like are trying to trying to bring up. And unfortunately, the media has followed suit with misleading headlines, and that's wrong.
Now I'm going to talk. Do I have
Are you?
answer? Good. Now,
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? This is why this woman's show got canceled. This is why I was so ecstatic that this woman's show got canceled and she is no longer on the air. So he just made a great point about fathers in the home and the success of the young people and doing something productive. And you respond with this snarky, oh, can I talk? That's that. You know, I'm working on my swearing. I'm working on my swearing. Understand, this was the first time. I'm just explaining to you because this is the first time that I actually had seen Byron Donalds, like I even heard about him, was because of this situation. And when I saw the way he managed this attack, because this is an attack, this is an assassination on his character when he's trying to say something and do something that's productive. Watch the way that this woman decides to continue, never apologizes, never tries to get to a point where you actually agree when you see, you know, Black man, Black woman agreeing and working together on TV. Instead, you continue to attack him and you continue to attack him and you continue to attack him. And he's just taking the shot. He's just like, what? Because he has the truth on his side. And that's a point I want to make too before I keep letting it play. Another point is when you got the truth, when you have the truth, folks, when you know your truth and you have it on your side and you have it in your head that you have some principles and some values, some solid Christian values that you want to stand on, there's no person that's going to be able to take it away from you. No raging person. I don't care what side they are on, the liberal, conservative, the Republican, whatever it is you want to call them. I don't care, whatever they want to label themselves, since everybody wants a label these days. None of it matters when you have solid Christian principles and you're trying to do things that are actually going to be productive for society. The man said it plainly. The man said it clearly. Being a father in the home leads to the success of children. That should be what they're talking about. That should be the main point. Instead, she's going to get into some story about she's going to get into some story about what happened. She's going to take some things that happened in the Jim Crow era that were obviously very unfortunate. Obviously, we as Black people were under great, like he said, under great persecution. It was a difficult time for all of us. So there's tons of stories out there that are horrible. But what this man said had nothing to do with that. What this man was trying to say was being a father in the home isn't actually a good thing. That's what he was attempting to do.
About the Black father being in the family, being able to protect the family. First, I want to read, just for our audience, the definition of Jim Crow, just so we all know what we're talking about. Jim Crow laws were a collection of state and local
I don't know how he keeps it together with
racial
this.
segregation. The existence.
Yes, we know what Jim Crow is, Joy Reid.
They were meant to marginalize African Americans.
We know what it is. Yes, we can look up the definition.
Education and other job
We can look up the definition of
those who attempted to defy
Jim Crow.
Often faced arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and death. Now I want
You see what they're trying to do? You see what she's trying to do?
This era, you said that what you were talking about was the presence of the Black father in the home to protect his wife and family.
Yes.
In 1943, in the state that you represent, in Florida, a young man named Willie James Howard, who was 15 years old.
She just wanted to get the story out. They could look this story up.
Willie Howard.
He said nothing about this story in his remarks.
In Live Oak, Florida. Unlike the other cars,
but she brought it up because he's from
Cynthia
Florida.
Goff, a white store employee, revealed a youthful crush. His greeting expressed hope that white people would someday like Black people, and concluded, "I love your name, I love your voice. For SH, sweetheart, you are my choice." After reading the card, Cynthia's father, Phil Goff, brought two friends to the Howard home and demanded to see Willie. Despite his mother's pleading, the men men dragged Willie away and then kidnapped Willie's father, James Howard, from work. The men drove the two Howards, I should say, to the embankment of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet,
because I'm
stood
gonna
him
let her
at the
get
edge
it
of the
out.
water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water
gonna
below
let her
and
get it out.
drowned while his
Keep
father
going.
was forced to watch at gunpoint. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. You said that
Yes.
during the
She
Jim
tries
Crow
to-
era,
Mhm.
the importance of having a Black man in the home was to protect his family and to protect his wife. I actually spoke with somebody who lived through Jim Crow. Her
Mhm.
name is Merle Evers Williams. And Merle quoted to me a man named Charles Silverman, who wrote in Crisis in Black and White,
Yes.
that in 1890, the year that the Mississippi Constitution was written, the policy of crushing out the manhood of the Negro citizens was to be carried out with success. So the man in the home during Jim Crow had no rights, could not protect his wife from rape, could not protect his son from lynching. So again, why would you quote that era and say that at that time,
There it
the
is.
family all being in the home together was something we should think of as a good thing?
Never said it. Never said it. So she went through that and he's gonna get there. Hold on, I'm gonna say it for you, Byron. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna get her first. Let me get her first. You went through that entire story, that entire situation. You tried to frame the whole thing. You read through quotes, you did this, and you brought this up. You're from Florida, all this stuff. And you still are assassinating this man's character. He never said it was good. Never did that come out of his mouth. Okay?
Well, first of all, Joy, the story you bring up and you're bringing up is a tragedy, one of the great tragedies of the Jim Crow era. This is why those policies were so disgraceful. They were disgusting and distasteful. All I was talking about, Joy,
what was the benefit
marriage
of a
rate
man in the
Black
family? Again, sir, I'm sorry,
Joy,
let
am
me
I
talk
allowed
for
to
a long
talk?
time. Sorry, I only,
I'm
no,
just-
talk over you. You've gotten a chance to
trying
speak a
to
lot,
respond to
Congressman.
what you
You're
brought
going to
up,
answer
Joy.
my
How you
question
gonna
now
let
and
me
not
do that?
filibuster.
That's
This is
what
the
I'm
question
trying
you
to
want.
answer,
Go ahead.
Joy,
This
but
is
now
the
you're
question
No,
you need
so
to
ask again. Let her ask again. Go ahead.
If Black men,
That's what I'm
hold on.
trying to answer.
Here it is. What?
Joy.
What's
You're
coming?
gonna
Take
let
a
me do
breath.
that.
Take
You're gonna
a
let me do
breath.
it. I would love
If
to
a
do it.
Black man
I
could
would
not
ask you to do the same.
protect, it's my show. If a
Not
Black
alone.
man, a Black father could not protect his wife,
Here it
his
is.
son,
It's
or
coming.
himself from lynching and violence, how is him being in the home mean that that is an era that was better for the Black family, or that we should think of as a good thing?
First
Never said it. Never.
of all, Joy, I never said that it was better for Black people in Jim Crow. I have never said that, and even my own words say that. If you're talking about the importance
Exactly.
of Black fathers
Stupid
in the
ass.
home, or frankly, all fathers in the home, it is always for the betterment of children, to have leadership, yes, for safety. So having two people in the home to help provide the economic needs for those children so the family can succeed. That is a wonderful thing. We should always get back to that, not to Jim Crow. And this is the point of the gaslighting
Thank
and the
you.
lying
Thank
that's
you.
occurring with what I said. Don't try to impose the fact that the marriage rates were better in the higher, I want to be clear, higher in the Jim Crow era to mean that I think Jim Crow is great. That is a lie. That is gaslighting. I would never say such a thing, which is why the Jim
quoted
Crow
Jim
era
Crow.
was
And she
the
still
benefit
won't.
of Black people.
You brought it up.
Okay, so you see, you guys get my point at this point, right? It's so hard to actually make a change. It's so hard to be a good father. It's, fatherhood, or be a father in home, to make that something that you want to do. It's so hard to do it when you have women like this who are constantly getting in our way. Our very own people are getting in our way, where this man is trying to put out a message. He's trying to put out something that's actually going to be productive. Yet you got to run into gaslighting and run into situations in which you can't do the work that you're called to do because somebody else's own agenda. So that, I know I went on a tangent on that one, but that was my, and another thing that I want to make sure I'm clear on the record saying is, you just don't get a second chance at a first impression. Whether you're meeting someone virtually or meeting someone in person, however it works, you do not get a second chance at a first impression. So that was my first impression of Byron Donalds. And so the person who sent me that clip, the person who sent that, he sent the whole Jim Crow thing, and he was kind of the Joy Reid. He is the Joy Reid of the situation when it comes to me, where there's always this victim mentality, always looking for excuses, always looking for something that is going to make it so we get to be a victim and you don't actually have to take some responsibility for the mistakes and the work that you do as Black people. That's the kind of person he is who sent it to me. I remember coming in the next day, because, we worked together and all that, coming in the next day after having watched that interview and being so proud of Byron Donalds, so happy that somebody's willing to stand up, right? Somebody's willing to, stand on that and go back and forth and be, have a strong mentality towards, doing the right thing. And I started talking to him about it. And I was like, man, yeah, Byron Donalds, man, he's the man. I love the way he went back at Joy Reid. He wasn't going to just let Joy Reid talk to, try to, use his words and twist that and all that. And then he goes, and this is what the guy tells me. He goes, if I ever saw Byron Donalds, I'd punch him in his effing face. That's what he told me. So ever since he said that, it sealed it for me. I'm like, I'm a fan of Byron Donalds. I love it, because when you're hated, when people hate you to that point, when you're hated, that means you're doing something right. I think it was what Cat Williams who said it best. If you got 7 haters, you need to be figuring out how you can get to about 9 or 10. When you got people who are genuinely hating on you, hating on the work you do, your work pushes them to the point in which they feel like they are so angry at you, that means you are doing something correct, my friend. That means you're doing something absolutely the right way. And, as things went on, so that interview happened in July, right? And I became more and more interested in the work he was all about and the things that he was doing. So when I saw him, and this was around the time, again, during this whole election cycle, I was paying more attention to politics as I ever did, being that now, again, the 30s, born in Maryland, got books out. And I'm looking at resumes of these politicians. I'm looking at the people that are actually on these stages speaking. And I'm like, yo, look, I got books too. I was like, hold up, man. I got books too. I got my story out there. I got my podcast. So, I'm doing my thing too. I'm like, hold up now. As I'm seeing cats doing their thing, I'm like, all right, I can do my thing too. Let me get up in the game. And, as I was thinking about it, as I continue to think about it, it's like, all right, if I was to get in, like I told you guys yesterday in my top five Tuesday, I was telling you guys the top 5 moves I would make as a politician if I was a politician. And most of the moves were all based around education, sports, entrepreneurship, utilizing education, sports, and entrepreneurship, and probably some fitness and things of that nature, using those things to build a society that has solid principles and solid values, right? To clean up and to make things a lot better for the problems that we see, make things a lot better for a lot of people who are struggling with figuring out where it is they want to go, how it is they want to do things. I was that would be my lane in terms of how I get involved, right? So what I did is, I remember I watched the RNC. I watched both. I watched the RNC and I watched the DNC. And I don't necessarily watch it for the actual presidential, like the person that's being voted in office. At this stage, I'm kind of watching it to see who are the other candidates, because it's all about, it's all about the future. It's all about what person that they have bringing in to speak, it's all about, some of the people that they saw that they had speaking up for them throughout the week. That's usually what gets me excited, because I'm curious about what the future is going to look like. So when I saw my guy here, I'm like, hold up now. Is that not the same dude? Is that not the same dude that went at it with Joy Reid, was lied on, and, he obviously is doing something right because Trump's chose him to speak on his behalf. And I listened to his speech, and me being a person, again, yes, I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, but I tell people all the time, a lot of my family lives in Brooklyn, New York. My mother, she lived in Brooklyn, and I'm going to tell you my story, and then I'm going to let his story play. And then you can draw the comparisons in terms of how much I really resonate with him, how much I really want to see this brother successful, how much I really can see especially being a resident of Florida, see, if he's the Florida governor, if I can be involved, if I can help, if I can be supportive in any way, how much it connects, because it's literally the same story. It's the same kind of story. All right. My mother, again, she was born in Trinidad, moved to Brooklyn. She grew up, she went to high school in Brooklyn. I think it was like her teen years. A lot of those formative years was spent in Brooklyn. But what happened was, and she tells me this all the time, is that she decided that when she got pregnant with my sister, she decided that she didn't want to raise her kids in an environment like in Brooklyn, New York. All right. So what happened was, she moved to Maryland, and we grew up for the most part in the suburbs, but we would always be taking trips to Brooklyn, New York throughout my high school years, middle school years, formative years, and things of that nature. And I kind of fell into the education world. I didn't go to the education because I wanted to be a teacher. I still don't even have some of the certifications I would need. I actually got into it because I wanted to coach. I wanted to coach football, and the entrepreneurial mindset is what landed me in the school that really fit what it is I'm trying to do, and fit the resume, fit the vision of where I'm trying to take my business and things like that. So as he's talking now, this was before he was announced that he was running for governor. All right, this was before he's not. So I was always like, okay, this is my guy.
Because she could see.
Here, I'm gonna let it play back a little bit.
Me out of public school. I was in the first grade. My mother took me out of public school because she could see that public education was failing me.
Yes, failing a lot of people.
I needed to be challenged, and I needed the opportunity that only a private school could provide. My mother is an educator, and she truly believed in my potential. But Democrat politicians wanted to trap me in a failing school. But my mom fought for me. Mom, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you, Mom. Words cannot describe how deeply grateful I am to be your son. When I was in the 7th grade, my mom lost her job. We went on government assistance, and my grandma helped us pay for private school. My mom and my grandma sacrificed to ensure that I could build a successful future through a commitment to academic achievement and hard work. I'm standing here today as a result of their love, good and safe schools, and great teachers. And to the teachers of America who pour your heart and your soul into your students and teach the next generation to love, honor, and serve our great country, we all say thank you.
Hey, that's our governor, man. That's our next governor of Florida right there. You got my vote, right? As a teacher, as an educator, again, person who has the entrepreneurial mindset of a business owner, but still is working in that education space. These are the things we got to be pulling from it. But if you go back and think about I want you to break it down, because I'm gonna play a couple more clips. Play a few more things that I want you guys to see here. But if you go back and you think about how I initially heard about him, the gaslighting and the way that somebody tried to make him seem like he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to be doing, that is completely what? Hold on one second, guys. Say what? Why? What happened?
Oh, we realized you don't have any computers at all, so.
All right, what time are we leaving?
No, 8:40.
All right, people. That's just what I'm talking about here, and we'll talk later, okay? Because we're live now, and I don't want to say nothing. All right, so yeah, we have a situation here. We're taking we're taking the kids to the courthouse, and there's been some confusion about where we're going and how we're getting there and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'll discuss that maybe on a later day. But Byron Donalds, yeah. So Byron Donalds, if you go back to think about what I was saying at the beginning, how the person who initially introduced me to him, the person who initially told me about him, what they were trying to do, what they were trying to make him sound like he was some person that was supportive of the Jim Crow era or doing something that was going to be against Black people or putting Black people in a situation in which they won't be better off or whatever it is. And then you listen to what the man said. Do you realize how we would be missing the boat? Do you realize how the disconnect, how the miscommunicate? Do you realize how that problem that he's talking about, that he's trying to solve, how we miss that problem? So I encourage you all. I don't know. When I start talking politics, I can get on a tangent. I really do. But and I have a couple more things I want to get to as well, because I haven't even really scratched the surface. But what I really want to make sure I'm on the record saying is that do your own research, folks. Do your own research, please. That's number one. Next thing, please do yourself a favor and pay attention to your local government. All right, the local officials, what's going on locally in your community. Start to dream up whatever it is you want to dream up in your life. See, for me, 7 years ago, around that time, was 7 or 8 years ago now, I had a goal. I had a dream. I had something that I wanted to do. I said I wanted to move to Florida and build my life out here in Florida. That's where I wanted to be. All right. Big football guy out here, but big fitness enthusiast. Football and fitness are pretty much the things that have run my life since I was a kid. I love them incredibly. I love them so much that I want to teach them. I'll do it every day if I can. I write books. I mean, that is what I do. And when you're talking about Florida, the football and the fitness are absolutely in alignment. They're absolutely the environment in which I needed to be. And I decided, look, we're going to drive out here, no place to stay, no job offer, nothing, and just get started. That in itself is the mindset I had. So now when I meet a cat like this who has a similar story, moved out here, not from the Florida area, and had to build a life, I just get inspired by those folks, because you're not going through it alone. And again, I go through a lot. There's a lot of things I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that you guys would never, ever actually know about, because it's not about me. It's not about As One. It's not about what struggles As One has gone through. And again, when you're talking about being in the content creation game, when you're talking about telling your story, when you're talking about being a leader, understand no one gives a shit about your story. No one gives a shit about your problems until they can figure out a way in which your story resonates with them or how it helps them. All right. So you have to understand the moves that you make. And I get you may be struggling, whatever it is you're doing. The moves that you make have to be about how does the whole benefit? How do we benefit a community, a society? All right. So there's two more clips I want to play. The first one, I want to play you the story about how he got into politics. So as I was preparing for this, one of the things, and this was, I've watched this interview multiple times, because again, if there's one thing that you have to give Stephen A. Smith credit for, is he is kind of flip-flops. Yeah, he's not going to, I remember I'm recording this March 5th. So he did The View yesterday, and I watched a couple of clips of what he was talking about in The View and how he didn't say he's supportive of Donald Trump. It's like he started to say it, but then he kind of pulled back a little bit. And then he had Candace Owens on his show yesterday. So I listened to that whole interview. So because I knew I was going to be talking about Byron Donalds, I went back and listened to the interview that Stephen A. Smith had with Byron Donalds. It was a whole year ago. So this was before a lot of this stuff came up. And I advise you, I strongly recommend that you guys go listen to the whole thing, because it's a fantastic interview, a fantastic story. But I want you guys to listen to how he got into politics, because again, with politics, and it's important that I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but I want to repeat it and want to make sure I'm on the record saying this now, is politics was meant to be public service. All right. That's what the initial intention of politics, of being involved with the government. You want to go and be a servant to the public. All right. You want to serve the public in a certain kind of way. it's public service. It was never meant to be something that, everyone's getting paid for and it's all about me, and this is my job. No, it was meant to be public service. Somewhere along the way, things started to get, I couldn't tell you when it happened, but it got to be about a job. They started to treat it as if it was a job or anything, something like that. So I'm going to let it play about how Byron Donalds got into politics, and then we'll go from there.
Who are Black find themselves leaning towards being a Democrat as opposed to a Republican. How did you end up on the Republican side of the aisle?
So like my early life and even through college, even my young adulthood, I wasn't into politics. I didn't really care, man. I was more into sports. Like I said, I'm a sports junkie, love basketball. I'm a basketball junkie.
Right.
And so it was about coaching my young sons, coaching kids in my community here.
Exactly. All right. So it's great that I have to pause it there. I might get long with it because it's so crazy how the story is the same. All right. Like me, wasn't really into politics, just happened to be into sports. He was more so interested in serving young people and helping his sons and, doing stuff for the community. And now, again, potentially the governor of Florida. So you just never know when we talk politics.
In my church, being a youth leader, really about that process of just building yourself. I was in my career in finance. I was working in banking and I worked in insurance. And when the financial collapse happened in 2008, my company came to me and they said, "You're the only person with like a real economics background. Can you dig into this and figure out what's happening?" And so I remember, I turned on the House Financial Services Committee.
This is it.
And I was watching these members of Congress, the leaders of our country, talk about the financial collapse. And man, truth is, Stephen, they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I'm in the field doing the work day by day, but I'm watching the congressional hearing. And I'm like, who are these people? And so like that kind of put me down a journey. That's the first time I really started paying attention to politics. And then I started reading books because like cable news didn't make sense to me. It was really just real short and no real details, no substance. And I started reading books about politics. And then the Tea Party movement started in like 20.
Yeah. So I wanted to play that just so you guys understand. He got into politics because of the work he was already doing. He was already conditioned and he already had a mindset. And he's sitting here listening to folks that don't know what they're talking about, that do not know what they're talking about. And at that point, when you see something so egregious, so wrong, now you have to start paying attention to it. And the question is, how can I help? How can I help? That is what landed him there. All right. That is the mentality. That is the approach. So last one I want to play for you guys, because at that after, this was it. This was when he went on the Breakfast Club. So the thing about Byron Donalds, and I'll close you guys out with this concept, is obviously he's a Black man. Obviously he's a person that is a brother, whatever you want to call it, Black man. And because we're playing politics, because of unfortunately, because of identity politics and what people make important, how race oriented we've become and how we have lumped all people into certain categories based on ethnicity and based on race and based on gender. Unfortunately, he has to deal with that. Unfortunately and fortunately, whatever it is, however you want to juxtapose it. In fact, I think it's actually more of a benefit, more of a fortunate thing for him because he's actually qualified. He's not just a Black face who gets a massive platform, and because they're Black, they have a lot of sympathy listeners. They have a lot of simps following them, or they have a lot of people that follow them who want to play the victim Olympics and want to just be a victim because being a victim is so easy and you're able to get certain things because you're a victim and all that kind of stuff. He is actually good at his job and he's actually good at what he's done. He's basically, you can tell that he's there because of actual merit, which again is not, you can't say that about everybody who has these massive platforms, right? So he did the Breakfast Club, and I used to listen to the Breakfast Club. I'd say for a short period, I would listen to the Breakfast Club here and there, but I never really got into the Breakfast Club like that. I for the most part, I like Charlemagne, I like DJ Envy, I like some of the things they do, but I don't like everything they do. I mean, Charlemagne, I read his book, I think it's called The Blackness. defending your blackness or your black privilege. I think it was like a blackness privilege. It was more of a book. Like the thing is with Charlemagne, I think he's for the most part all right. I don't want to say good or great. I think, he tries to make it so we're not victims. Like I said, I read the book, the Defend the Black, I think it was Black Privilege or something like that. I can't remember the title of it, but he was pretty much saying a lot of the stuff that I agree with when it comes to not allowing people to make you feel like you're a victim just because you're black. DJ Envy, I think he does some cool things in the real estate world when it comes to business and stuff like that, and just showing young black boys that we can be more than just rappers and athletes and artists and stuff like that. We can extend to the executive levels and things like that, and be public speakers, have our own show, all that. So when it comes to the Breakfast Club, all that stuff I, for the most part, have been sort of inspired by throughout the years as I've built up my own platform. But because one of the things now, though, is because there's so many other platforms out there and so many other things I can listen to, I'm only going to listen to the show based upon the person that they have interviewing. All right. So the only shows I've listened to when it comes to the Breakfast Club over the past maybe the past year, are Byron Donalds and Candace Owens. All right. And because I know what those two represent, I know what those two are all about. And when I see it on my feed, that person that I respect a great deal, I've heard on other platforms, when I see them coming on the Breakfast Club, then I'm like, all right, cool, I'll listen to it. So this was Byron Donalds on the Breakfast Club towards the last part of the kind of the home stretch of the election, and he got called out. He got called out by this lady you're looking at. I want to say her name is Angela Raya, I think it is. But he said something before that, and she got on and said it's not true, and my man pulled out paperwork. My man was ready. He pulled out paperwork and just straight shut her ass down, and I loved it. I love to see that is someone who's ready to run the state of Florida. All right, I'll let it play.
I acknowledge the issue of our nation, but we always are trying to strive to be the more perfect union. So in 2024, what are the economic policies? What are the national security policies? What are the border security policies that are gonna make our country thrive? So whether you black, Hispanic, or white, you could thrive.
Right.
And so I think
So
it's
then
important.
would you have to say that if it was a racist country, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic, you could thrive?
No.
Are we thriving? Are members in your
Well, I would
state,
argue
black
we're not.
folks in your
I would
state
argue we're not
thriving?
really thriving right now. It's inflation, which, by the way, was brought to us by Kamala Harris. It has really slowed down people from being able to excel.
By Kamala?
Yes.
Vice president.
Oh, Charlemagne.
It's still the president.
Charlemagne, listen, man.
Listen up.
When Joe Biden wanted to do his American Rescue Plan, Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate. She broke the tie that started this inflation that has hurt so many people in our country. Everybody listening to your show, it's not true?
Watch it.
First of all, if
Watch it.
You sure you wanna go there?
there?
You sure you want to go there?
When you go outside,
Sure you want to go there? Okay, let's go there.
You got notes.
He got notes.
Angela, right?
That's fine. I have no.
I'm gonna give it
The
to
biggest note I
Charlamagne.
have
I'm gonna
today
give it to
is
Charlamagne.
about every question I've asked.
Because Angela,
For
hold on.
every
Yeah.
infrastructure project in your community,
You can go to
you should
third
go
page,
out
just to
and
highlight
thank
a portion.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Congress that voted for the American Rescue Plan.
Angela,
That's what should be happening.
Larry Summers.
Right here. Charlemagne he's looking at and he's just looking at her like, okay, my man pulled out notes. He pulled out notes. That's the way it should be. If you got people attacking and assassinating who else would you want running your country? I mean, that is exactly the way it should be. And I was proud. I'll let it play a little bit and I'll close you guys.
Back in 2021, Larry Summers was a church.
This was it. Yeah, Black Privilege. This was the book I read. Black Privilege. That was it. Yeah, Black Privilege.
Bill Clinton, he was an economic advisor to Barack Obama. He said that the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden wanted, that Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate, would create a massive inflation that we have not seen in a generation. Well, guess what? Larry Summers was correct. You know who also was correct, Angela? I was, because I was in the budget committee when they brought the bill. And I said in that committee, it's going to cause massive inflation. That's what happened. So the problem we have in our economy today is that prices have gone up massively. Wages adjusted for inflation is down. people's pocketbooks are hurting, but we have a presidential election in 40 days. So, and I'm gonna ask Envy this question. Envy, you're in the housing business as well. I know because I watch.
Figure out how
I listen to the show.
interviewed.
No, I'm just asking.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the man makes a point. He makes a point. He clearly laid it out. You got nothing to say. There's no empathy. There's no, all right, you know what, you got it. Let's grow from this. Thank you for laying that out. Now, MG getting interviewed. You know, it is so hard. It is so hard to actually progress, to actually make a difference when you have your own people, the people that look like you, constantly getting in the way of progress. That's what makes him the Win-trapreneur for today. That's what I'll let him play and ask Envy the question, because I think it's important. That Envy talks about his business when it comes to the real estate world, like I was mentioning before. He's a heavy hitter in the real estate world. So let me let him.
So I listen to the show. I know you do a lot of business in housing. Would you hire somebody that broke up stuff in one of your houses to fix the other houses?
No.
Exactly. She broke the economy. That's not me.
This morning, Byron. So
Exactly. You don't want to do it. You don't want to talk about it. Now you're getting quiet. You want to call the man a liar. You're gonna call the man a liar, and now all of a sudden you don't want to get into it because you ain't got this, you don't got the support, all that kind of stuff. Listen, man. All right. And I'll close you guys out with this because I know I went on several rants today, and I just think it's so gratifying. I think it's important. I think we have got to do a better job in doing our own research. And when it comes to the Win-trapreneur tip and the Win-trapreneur thoughts and the Win-trapreneur feature today, it is actually an official endorsement. And from my viewpoint, for whatever it's worth, an endorsement for Byron Donalds to be the next governor of Florida, the place that I currently reside, because of the experience I've had just based on the past 8 or 9 months in seeing someone who is talking my language, talking exactly the things that I'm all about, doing the things that I'm all about, and emphasizing the things that I'm all about. Yet you have got situation after situation after situation in which people who look just like him, all right, folks that claim to be so pro-Black, claim to be so, progressive and wanting to help our people, the culture, so to speak, constantly trying to deframe him and make it so he's trying to make it sound like he's trying to do something negatively, and he's just withstanding it. He's taking it and he continues to move forward, and he's in that seat for a reason. All right. And that's something that we should all be inspired by. That's something we should all strive to be. And that's something we should all be supportive of. And that's all I'll say. That'll be the official last word for today. So we'll get into some more tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be discussing how the problems that come up with weak leadership. I told you guys past Sunday we're going to be talking a lot of politics throughout the week, and that's just the way it's going to be because of the Zelensky Trump thing, and then there was the situation where Trump addressed the nation. So there was going to be a lot of politics going on this weekend, and it's important that we understand these things. All right. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm doing, it is makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. You can tap into the Patreon link here, book me to speak, learn more about me, or even just shop. All that goes down at makeyourmove.com. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.